We will call our meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, definitely in a different building, but a wonderful opportunity to celebrate just now our ribbon cutting. Welcome back, Ms. Kirk. Our first item on the agenda is the roll call. Ms. Lister, you would call the roll for us.
Reverend Williams.
Here.
Dr. Mickelson.
Here.
Dr. Morrison.
Here.
Mrs. Johnson.
Here.
Mrs. Kirk.
Here.
Dr. McCarthy.
Here.
Mr. Woods.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And to lead us in the pledge today, I'm going to ask a favor, and before I even ask it, beg someone's apology because I didn't give any warning. But I think this will be really awesome, and I know she will be as excited about it as I am. If Dr. Gordon would actually come forward and have the students that she brought with her from McClure to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much, Dr. Gordon. Thank you, definitely, students. Normally, we would be making you introduce yourselves and how you came with you and all of that, but I know you're going to be doing that here in a few moments. So let you compose your speeches in your head. Okay, our first action item that we've got is the adoption of the agenda. I trust everybody has an opportunity to review it. Are there any questions or any thoughts on the agenda? If not, we'd be prepared to entertain a motion.
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Morrison. Thank you, Reverend Williams. A motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? If there's none seen, I think we are ready to vote. We're going to do this by hand. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 7-0. Our next item on the agenda is school highlights. And to lead us in school highlights, Dr. Anderson.
We are so excited because we have so many different school highlights today. And we also have some proclamations which we will add under school highlights as well for individuals that are here to speak to that. But we're going to start off with our first highlight, the City of Character. And I want to introduce two people who are coming forward. Noni Krieger and Sue Kidd from the City of Character. I'll turn it over to you from there.
I'll hand you some materials to give you a little bit of insight in what is happening. We're here this evening to talk a little bit about the Schools of Character. Schools of Character, adults embrace the critical role as models. Teachers work together as professionals, and with parents and community members as partners to positively shape social, emotional, and character development of the young people entrusted to them every day. Students in these schools feel safe, respected, connected to those around them, and allowing them to thrive academically and socially, and be motivated to give back. In Schools of Character, we find that bullying is rare, cheating and discipline decline, test scores go up, attendance and graduation rates are high, dropout rates are low. Achievement gaps are narrowed, teacher retention and satisfaction is high, parent satisfaction and engagement is high, and student engagement is also high. So it sounds like that would just cure all of our problems, right? Yeah. What you have is some material that we've put together in Kansas. The Schools of Character program is run by the Topeka City of Character, and now we have become a statewide character as a program called KansasCharacter.org. We sponsor every year the Kansas Schools of Character recognition, which will be this year, May the 4th, at the Brown versus Board of Education, which is an amazing site for this kind of a celebration. But you can see that we've been doing this since 2008. You also have in your packet the 11 principles of effective character education. Gives you just a little view of these are this is the framework for recognizing schools to participate in the schools of character. It's quite a lengthy process. Well, we've had a few schools throughout the state have participated in this. It takes about 25 hours at least to complete the application. Very detailed, very deep search that's also supported by data in order to be designated a school of character. You'll also notice that you've got a list, or the program from last year. This coming year, we'll be doing somewhat the same thing, but it will be a full-day recognition program. To begin getting schools on board, in Kansas, you'll remember that we've adopted social, emotional, and character development standards. These are standards that support the social and emotional character development that is expected for students and for staff across the state. So we're tying that SECD work to the work that's the school accreditation work. And in that work, we are focusing on a recognition called the Enhanced Spotlight Award. This award is open until, a recognition is open until the 15th of March. So we are hoping that we can get representatives from many other of your wonderful schools in Topeka in order to be recognized for that piece. All of this is done through the Topeka City of Character program, and the last little sheet that you have are the character words that we're bringing back. You may remember we used character words in the past. We're revitalizing that program, and it's going to be much bigger in the future. I'd like then to introduce some pretty big award winners, I think we could say. Could we have the staff and the students from McClure Elementary please come forward? Woo! So you have before you the latest of the Topeka Kansas School of Character Award winners. They will be recognized May the 4th at the Brown versus Board Center. In looking at their application, they have been able to tie the work that has been done in the classroom to development of character. It becomes a seamless program. There's a leadership group that works with the students and with their younger peers, and they'll talk a little bit about that program, I'm sure. But we want to recognize that leadership program. And I also see Tammy Austin here. I didn't realize she was going to be here. Janet, could you stand up? Because the first in the first year of the Kansas School of Character program, in 2008, Janet's Robinson Middle School, and at that point Tammy was the principal of the middle school, and they were also recognized as Kansas School of Character in 2008. So we now have 2 Kansas Schools of Character in Topeka, and we're looking forward to many more. They weren't. I'm not sure. Yeah, you may have more. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Gordon I do need to tell you, their application now has gone on for possible for consideration as a national school of character. We won't know that if they've been designated that until May. So congratulations, and I'll let you.
Well, it doesn't happen by itself. It takes a full team of people to put forth the work for a character education program, and it all started for us back in 2013. I heard a gentleman named Dr. Lloyd Hatley talk about the importance of character development for children and youth, and that it takes a whole community to make this happen. Once I heard him speak, I invited him to come to McClure to work with our Leadership Academy. At that time, we had a Leadership Academy, and we continue to have that. And he felt really positive about what we were trying to do. We were implementing PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention Support, and that gives you a framework for organizing your building to help students be successful. But I thought we needed something else. And I felt that character education was that something else that we needed, because it would tell us what and why. And that was a critical piece, I feel, for helping our students be successful. We wanted them to know what it takes to be not only academically strong, but to be strong children of strong character. The students, the staff met Dr. Hackley. He came and did some professional development with our building. He has been a part of the Character Counts, which is a national character education organization, and our staff were on board from the first time they heard him speak. I felt that was very incredible, and once I got the buy-in from the staff, wheels got to rolling. So this is something we've been at for a while. We just didn't start last year, and every year we grow, we learn other things, new things that we can do to help our students be successful, and we're just really honored to be awarded this recognition, and I'm speechless. I don't know. It was a team effort, and it, actually, the person responsible for us getting the award is our superintendent, because she was the one that really encouraged us to go for this award. Otherwise, not even thinking about it. So, and she also ignored my two excuses that I gave her as to why I couldn't do it. Via email, I had good excuses, and she just kind of blew them off, and absolutely did not let me forget that it's an honor to recognize the hard work of our students and our staff. So I don't know what else to add, except thank you to my school team, and thank you to my students who have come this evening. They are part of our 5th grade Leadership Academy. And before I'm quiet, let me go ahead and have Brendan and come over. And we want to do our own presentation here. And so we need Dr. Anderson to come up. Don't worry about the camera, somebody else will do that. Dr. Anderson, we'd like to present you with this picture of our school as we were celebrating Character Counts month in October. And we want you to know that we appreciate your support and encouragement in our endeavor to help make our students even more accountable as citizens of our community. Thank you so much.
So we're going to hang on to this.
Okay, is that what you want us to do?
All right, and I will hang on to this. And then board members, did you have any questions? I think, do we have a second mic that's also in the room, Mr. Russo? Or board members, do you have any questions before we head on?
I love your shirts, but I can't read the words on the red border. What are those?
Those are the traits.
Those are the six character traits that we are promoting at McClure.
And what are those traits?
And what are those traits? One of our students. Right here. Go ahead, use your outside voice.
Fairness, citizenship, responsibility, and respect.
Respect, caring.
Any other questions?
I'd like the students to introduce themselves and tell us who they are
Do you know
and what they want to be when they grow up.
I was gonna say, you know what you want to be or where you want to go to college? Go right on ahead.
Hi, my name is Kendall Anakali, and when I grow up, I want to be a veterinarian.
Hello, my name is Brendan Coleman, and I would like to be a professional soccer player when I grow up.
Hi, my name is Daisy, and I want to be a veterinarian as well. My name is Brianna Taylor, and I either want to be a basketball player or a horse swimmer.
Okay.
My name is David, and I want to be a veterinarian.
Got a bunch of vets.
Staff, when we get to the end of the highlights, we'll ask you to stay around because we want to take a picture with the board, and then we'll take a picture with our other picture again. And again, congratulations. Just a picture. And as we continue to highlight character and the character of various individuals in our community, our humble board president was acknowledged at the Living the Dreams Award. And so I say this. They have several different awards and what they mean, so I want to read exactly what he received. We also have another staff member with us, Julie Watson, who also was acknowledged. So I'm going to read both of these and ask them to come up to be acknowledged as well. Ms. Kruger, do we have another item to prepare to give for them, or?
They brought their
Oh, you brought your plaques with you. Okay, so we'll start off with Mr. Woods. Mr. Patrick, he said he can bring it. That's all right, because that way when you come on up, we can acknowledge Mrs. Watson as well. Mr. Woods, Board President Woods, if you could please come forward. There was a banquet previously where he has already been acknowledged, and we want to make sure publicly that when we have good things that happen to our staff in other places, we want to put them up front to make sure everybody knows. So we are celebrating all individuals in public, even when they're at events that you may not know about. So Mr. Woods has been awarded the Clementine, no, let me make sure I say this right. Clementine Prim Martin Community Service Award, presented in the name of Clementine Prim Martin, an individual who, like Ms. Barker, has exemplified great service to our community by effortlessly and tirelessly volunteering in the community, locally and nationally. And if you don't know who Clementine Prim is, that's a good history lesson for this first week of Black History Month. Let's give Mr. Woods an applause. Next person.
Do I get to give a speech?
Oh, you do get to give a speech?
No.
All right. Our next person, and Mrs. Watson, that bar the award from you, and I'm going to give it to Mr. Woods to give to you. Miss Julie Watson, who was also at that banquet, we're excited to celebrate her. Miss Julie Watson has been awarded the Vivian Scales Award. As one of the original plaintiffs in the Brown v. Board case and board member of the Living the Dream Committee, Vivian has been quoted as saying, "I just wanted to do what was right." The award is presented to an individual who has demonstrated excellent, faithful, and diligent service through education. Congratulations. She just ran right on back there. For those that didn't know, he's board president. She is an assistant principal at Highland Park. And both Mrs. Watson, please stay around so that you also can take a picture with the board as well.
She was actually also one of the 20 under 40 in the last class, so she's kind of on a roll. Awards.
Good things happen to good people.
Want some to rub off?
So again, congratulations to you both. We do have other awards as well. Mr. Wood, you want to just stay up here with me and shake hands? Because these are our last couple of acknowledgments as well. And we'll end up doing pictures right after this. We have 2 resolutions, actually, and generally this year, for those that didn't know, resolutions, generally the board approves them, and then individuals in the community stand. We don't read the entire resolution, as we have many of them at many of our board meetings. But for this meeting, since it's in a different place, at our next board meeting, we actually will be having a representative from the Brown v. Board Museum come, and we'll also have a resolution again for Black History Month, so they can come to that meeting in that setting. And also we'll be acknowledging and listening to a little bit about the landmark case and just the significance of the celebration this month. But for today, we do want to acknowledge, and we'll start off with the first resolution, and then we'll go to our counselors as well. Our first resolution, as we begin, and Mrs. Kruger, did you want to do this piece? Am I good to keep going?
You're doing great.
All right. Says I'm okay. So at this time, we're going to call a staff member forward to share a little bit about what we do in the area of uplifting our minority staff and students. And for this month, we want to share that it is later in the agenda that we will be approving the resolution for Black History Month. We have a member of the Minority Leadership Committee who is also a member of TAPSI that is here with us. And so Ms. Marie Carter, will you come up to say just a few words and ask those to stand who are members of the various organizations.
You have to know I was drafted because I told people to let me have to say anything. And don't have a background of really cute kids from the Florida back then. But we do have in the audience minority leadership members, Karen Presswood, if you would stand. Also Julie Watson, if you would stand. And then with TAPSI, Sharita Camp. And then also our newly member, Dr. Angela Duncan, if you would mind standing, and Jennifer Gordon, Dr. Jennifer Gordon, if you would mind standing. Oh, and I'm sorry, right here, our president-elect. I always forget somebody, but Shawnette Mansfield, if you would. As president of TAPSI, or Topeka Alliance of Black School Educators, I want to thank the board for acknowledging our African History Month. And to let you know a little bit about TAPSI. TAPSI, like I said, is Topeka Alliance of Black School Educators, and we work on behalf of African American students, staff, and community members in Topeka and Shawnee County and advocate for them. So if they have any ideas, suggestions, or if we want to do any research that we need to bring back to the board, we share that information with you in hopes to partner with you in making sure that our students are at the academic level that we would all like for them to be.
I think you have covered it.
Thank you.
And our next resolution, again, when we get to that point, the board will just approve the resolution, but we would like to acknowledge our counselors. Next week begins National Counselor Week. And with that, Ms. Gross-Kadir is here today to share a little bit about the counseling staff that we have, to acknowledge folks to stand at this time. And at a later time, when was our video playing at the very beginning? For those that missed it, and then we'll be showing at the very end, there is a video of all of our counselors. We thank Mr. Bush for going out to every school. I passed you just back and forth. I kept saying, why are you here? I'm getting counselors, I'm getting counselors. So the video shows all of our counselors across the district. Ms. Gross-Kadir, the coordinator of counselors.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. It's a nice turnout tonight.
Good evening.
Yeah. Well, you said a short speech, so I made it short. I've got 2 pages. Okay, President Wood, board members, Dr. Anderson, and district administrators. The counselors of TPS is 42 strong in 29 buildings across the district. Our theme this year is a lighthouse for good reason. Our counselors are a bright beam of light that truly guides our students to their safe place, helps them to envision their dreams and their personal goals. This group of counselors possess skills, patience, compassion, and caring that go above and beyond the scope of their job description. They truly are an exceptional group of professionals. I would like to thank our board for the honor in which we have received the Counseling Week proclamation that recognizes these loving and caring individuals who are so deserving of this acknowledgement. Will you counselors in the room please stand? Or get off the tables or whatever. Westwood, Beth Fallon, Janet Mitchell, Sandy Marshall, Ajan Wabunsey, Renee Fitchum, and Deanne Stewart. Is there anybody that I've missed in the room that I can't see? I said Cindy Marshall. I think I got you. Okay, I didn't want to miss anybody. Thank you again for coming tonight, and thank you for the acknowledgement. All right, at this time, we'll be taking a brief break for photos, and so we would like for photos to please come forward. And while not a counselor, our newest member also, now I just learned, is Miss Angela.
Okay. We'll resume with our meeting. I think we are at the point where we're ready to dispose of our business by consent.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the items of business by consent as presented and authorize the Board President or the Superintendent to sign the special project and purchasing contracts for and on behalf of the Board of Education.
There is a motion and a second. Thank you, Ms. Kirk. Any discussion on the motion? I take it everybody got a chance to look over all the information on the consent agenda. If there are no questions, then all those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 7-0. Our consent agenda is adopted. So actually, I think while we've acted on this, I'm going to recognize Dr. McCarthy to mention something very exciting that all of us should, she rightly admonished me that none of us should take this for granted, and we should definitely talk about it.
So at every board meeting, we have the privilege of accepting generous donations from the community to various schools and for various purposes. But this was a truly special one, an anonymous donation of $10,000 to McCarter Elementary School for the purpose of purchasing new playground equipment. Whoever you are, thank you so much. It's sorely needed in these times, and we really appreciate people making these generous donations to help our kids. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. McCarthy. That is incredibly generous. And think about what that's going to do for kids in this day and age, putting that kind of money. So, we do. Our kids do that. Yes. Okay. So we have no action items for the evening, but we are ready for our superintendent's report. And I'm going to pass to Dr. Anderson. We're going to have a couple of very good presentations.
Yes, this evening, and my apologies. This evening we have a couple of presentations, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Robbins. I know he gave me the card to start off with. Mr. Robbins, of the superintendent's update, we have an update to also lay within this section. Correct, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Anderson, and to President and the rest of the board. We're happy to have with us this evening Karen Weicker, who is the CEO of Midland Care. She's here to share some very exciting news with this entire audience and with the board. We have been, for several months, in the process of trying to reach the point where we could consummate a sale of property right here on the Kansas Education and Science Park. It is the sale of a building that is located just directly south and east of where we currently are setting in Kansas Cafe. It's called the Jarrett Building, and it is a building that Midland Care has some plans for, and we're very excited to have Karen, and I'll have her introduce Sam as we come up, here to share with the board some more information concerning just what this contract for sale means, not only for the district, but in particular for our students, and what it means going forward for the further development of the Kansas Education and Science Park. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Ms. White to come and address the board.
Well, it's a delight to be here today, and I want to thank you all because this has been a long time coming. I'm not sure, I think maybe it was 4 years ago that we originally started a dialogue. But just briefly, Midland Care is an organization that's actually to the other side of your Kansas property over here. And we are a hospice provider that's work we've been doing for about 40 years. We also are a provider of several other senior service programs, and one of those is PACE. It's a program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. And essentially what we do in that program is that we enroll very frail, predominantly low-income seniors who want to stay in their own home. And then we wrap services around them and coordinate all of their medical care, their transportation, care in their home that they might need, and we coordinate all of that so that they might stay in their home. At the heart of what we do is a center, a PACE center, and right now we're doing that over in one of the buildings on our campus. This is a program, by the way, we've been doing for 10 years, and yet many people have not heard about it yet. Partly that's because we're hidden away back on this lovely campus back here. So we are very excited to be out here on the street where people can see our sign and know that we are there. And in this center, we will have an adult day program. We will also have a rehab space so they can come and get physical therapy and occupational therapy. We will have a clinic because we provide all the primary care services, so they will come there to see their physician. We'll provide the transportation for that so that they can get over here to the center. So we are delighted and so excited. I brought the rendering here so you can see what we're going to do with this. And Sam Allred is with me today. Sam, could you come help me a little bit here? It was exciting to see your building over there. We went through the Capital City High School and see what we're going to have someday. So this is essentially the same floor plan, I believe, as what you had over there. The dark orange are things that we will be adding to it. So this actually will be the new entrance to our adult day center. This will actually be the entrance to our clinic. And this will be our rehab space. So all of this that's here, we are going to leave in place, but most of that will be for adult day spaces and some offices. We do have quite a few personnel who work in this, as you can imagine. Currently, we have about 228 people in this program. Having this center is really going to allow us to probably double what we're serving right now in this center. It also is going to take some of the traffic off of our campus over there, where we are currently off of Fraser. It's been wonderful to see this program grow, but it's created a lot of traffic. So we have a lot of comings and goings over there. And if you've ever been to our campus, we also have a hospice residential facility over there, a hospice inpatient, and all of the other administrative offices for our program. So moving this off not only gives us some visibility out in the community, better access for not only those folks coming to work here, but for those people coming to get service, and also, I think, puts us front and center in what's happening here at Kansas Park. So we're very excited to be a part of that. We're also excited, and it was a joy to work with Mr. Robbins, and we really got to know each other well, and I will tell you that he represents you well and looks out for your interests. And so we were able, through several different negotiating meetings, and I finally, frankly, he wore me out, so I finally turned it over to Sam. But together we all worked on this and we got this deal worked out. So we just closed on it on Tuesday, as you know. I did want to tell you the other parts of this that I think are pretty exciting, both for 501 and for Midland Care. And that is that as part of this, we are also going to be doing $5,000 in scholarships for the next 5 years. We want those to be awarded to students who are interested in something in healthcare, because frankly, we're finding we need to start growing our own employees. And I think you're seeing that same thing. So we're really hoping that we might be able to create some partnerships to do that. We also are going to be offering some scholarships for the camps that we do. We have grief camps. We provide, if you've seen the building down on 6th Street, that's a building that we acquired about 2 years ago, and we have a grief counseling center there. We do a lot of work with kids, and we serve adults as well, but we do a lot with kids. And so as part of this agreement, we're going to be doing some work in the schools available. I'm glad the counselors are here, and some of them we've already been able to help a little bit. We want to be a resource for the counselors too, so that they can come to our center here and get some training when they have students that are dealing with loss. Just recently we worked with Highland Park High School over about starting in November, I think, and Principal New over there knew that she had some students who were struggling some, and she actually had a conversation that resulted in she and I meeting, and we were able to put together a support group to meet with some of those kids, because if kids don't have the opportunity to express their grief and work through their grief, it's going to come out some way, and it's not necessarily going to be a good way. So, and I'm sure that the counselors in the room know that. So we are delighted to be able to offer some groups over the next 5 years that we will be doing in the schools. We'll do about 5 a year, 5-week sessions for, depending upon the schools where we're needed the most. So we'll let the counselors decide where we might be able to help them and the principals of those schools. But we treasure that opportunity to help those children through a grieving time. We also have a camp for children that's a weekend camp where kids that are grieving, that maybe have more recently lost someone. The camp is just divided into 2 different age groups. So we've got one that's like 6 to 14, I believe, and then the other one is those teenagers, mostly high school students. And we have scholarships for those. So we're going to be giving 10 scholarships a year for the next 5 years for kids from 501 to attend that camp. And we look for people to underwrite that camp for us to help with the cost. We are not-for-profit, so we don't have a lot of money either. But, you know, I think that's the beauty of this. It's a partnership. It's coming together and sharing resources that are going to help one another. And then the other thing that we have, and this goes lovely with the character camp, and there might be some characters over here who would be interested in this, but we have a volunteer corps, a youth corps. And we do a training during the summer, and it's 6 days during the summer where they will come, I see that hand, where they will come to our campus over here, and we'll do some work around what it means to volunteer in the community. So we introduce them not only to the work that we do, but we introduce them to other things, like we spend some time at the zoo, we spend some time with the police department, lots of different things to just introduce them to what volunteerism means and how they can give back to the community in which they live. So it fits very nicely with the Character Awards. So we will also be giving 10 scholarships to that camp each summer for the next 5 years. So we're delighted with all of these things, and I think that it's going to make a difference for us. I think it's going to make a difference for Topeka, and I believe it will definitely make a difference for the students that you all serve. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Karen. In front of each one of the board members and also administration, as we see up there is a packet that contains the contract, the closing statement, also a copy of something that came into addition to what Midland had agreed to, and that is a check that we can reinvest in continuing to expand our Kansas Education and Science site so that we can provide some unique educational opportunities for our students. What is not contained in the contract, but we talked about and Karen verbally agreed to and plans to honor that commitment, is that, we have a CNA program that Watch Protect offers at Highland Park. At some point in that program, students need some place where they can go and complete their clinicals. They have agreed to serve as a site where our CNA students could do their clinicals. They've also agreed to provide some internships for our students as long as those internships are in conjunction with services that they provide in their organization. So we have students that can gain gainful employment, if not through a CNA or medical field, and at least through medical records, clerical type work. They've agreed to provide those opportunities for our students. So again, we thank you very much for that.
And I'm hoping that we can inspire them to go into not-for-profit work as well.
As Karen talked about the partnership, I know that Midland is interested in expanding upon that partnership with the Topeka Public Schools. We do have a contractual arrangement with Midland Care where they have the right of first refusal to additional property here on site. The area that we refer to as Kittyville is an area that they're looking to for some future expansion opportunities, and we would be delighted to partner further with them in that endeavor. So again,
We're working on it.
Questions or thoughts from board members? I'll pass the mic down to Ms. Kirk.
This partnership is exactly what we wanted when we first started looking at what we're going to do with all this land out here. What do we have, 58 acres out here? There was no grand design, but the thing that the board said from the get-go is that whatever happens out here, it has to be about benefiting students, Topeka Public Schools. And we've been able to maintain that commitment because we've had wonderful partners. Snowman Vale has provided scholarships for nursing students. You all are going to be offering those kinds of chances, opportunities for our kids. Everybody out here has committed themselves to helping us maintain that partnership, and it makes me feel really good. We could have sold it off to businesses and let it go because we could have made money. We probably made more money doing that if we'd been really tough on it. But we had a vision. The vision was about making sure that this land benefited our kids, and it is. So thank you very, very much. I mean, it makes me teary.
May I say one more thing?
It was interesting when we toured the school over here and we went to the music room and we said, oh, we're going to be your neighbors. We just bought this building over here. And the music teacher, I apologize, I don't remember her name, immediately she says, she found out what we were going to do with seniors. She said, that would be a great place for us to bring some students for some concerts. That's exactly what you're talking about. It's lovely.
I would agree with Mrs. Kerr that I just can't imagine a better partner. Totally fits with what we're trying to provide for students. And as a psychologist, I'm especially thrilled by the grief support services that you're going to offer our students. There's a huge need for that. And I know our staff will really appreciate the mentoring and the services that you provide. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. All right. Stop there, right?
It's good stuff, and the good stuff continues. Again, thank you so much for the generosity and the creative thought leading to all of this. You and Mr. Robbins are to be commended and applauded. As we continue on with superintendent updates, we would like to bring Dr. Gordon and back up, if she's still in the audience, Dr. McDonald as well, and Dr. Gordon, if there's anyone else on your team, we are preparing for our standards-based discussion. Mrs. Wallace is out sick today, but her amazing amazing team member, Ms. Kay Hopkins, is here, so she'll also be coming up because she'll be talking about standards-based report cards. So leading to the standards-based report cards, this year, we have introduced standards-based learning. Rather than teaching to a test or a textbook, we are teaching to the standard. So when we look at standards and mastery of standards, as you all know, we've introduced several opportunities to look at data in different ways. And this year, one of the other new opportunities that our teachers and principals have embraced, and students, has been teaching for mastery, which is a new concept that we have been just continuing, not new in the sense of standards-based report cards, but new in terms of what is teaching for mastery. I'm going to turn it over to our awesome character education winner principal, and she'll introduce her instructional coach. It's better for her to share it than I, and then from there, we'll just fold right on into standards-based report cards and the website that is up for the district. This is a piece that I've used in past districts to really track standards and mastery. And this is a demo site, so none of the names are our actual students. So with that, I'll turn it over to you and our consultant.
Dr. Anderson spoke to elementary principals about an opportunity to use a resource that would help us track our students in how they are mastering the standards. And she introduced it to us and said that we'd have an opportunity to have some training in December. With that, I kind of went back and spoke to my coach. This is Sharon Bedoya, and she and I decided that we would attend the training with Dr. Mack and learn a little bit more about Mastery Connect. I was very excited about it for my staff because we are doing a lot of formative assessments in order to prepare our teachers and what they need to focus on and emphasize with our students, and also in our preparation for the Kansas assessments. Once Sharon and I attended the training, we immediately went back to our building and told our teachers that here's a wonderful opportunity. Instead of by hand developing assessments and then grading them by hand and then et cetera, this site gives us immediate feedback on how the students have performed. Sharon took the lead and took it by the reins, and we started with our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers because I feel those are critical grade levels that we really need information back pretty quickly. And she met with all of our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade team, introduced them, gave them some quick training. From there, we went to our primary levels. And as of this week, we have our kindergarten teachers getting introduced to Mastery Connect. So why don't you talk a little bit about what you did with them? She hates talking.
I do. So like she said, we started with 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and they're pretty comfortable now. So I decided to move to our primary levels, K through 2nd. Dr. Mack was in our building today doing a session with 2nd graders. We had all 43 students in a 2nd grade classroom, and he was able to show them how to do it on their iPads. So that was pretty powerful just to see how they can manipulate that. Then in the afternoon, I went to my kindergartners, and I did the same thing that you did. So we're really, really excited about using Mastery Connect. We are using it daily in different grade levels, and they're feeling very comfortable, and they really, really enjoy it, not only the teachers, but also the students. I did have an opportunity to ask some of the students how they felt, and they really enjoyed it because they go and they have like a bubble sheet, so it's just about clicking, and they're used to that. So it's easy for the students and easy for our teachers, and then we get the data that we need to provide professional development. So we're really excited about that.
We're going to open it up to questions. This is what we're using for all schools next year as part of not having to grade by hand anymore, not having to have teachers turn in spreadsheets anymore, which is what they do now. They have color-coded their own spreadsheets in this district, and they turn all of these in. Teachers actually collect the data. And since we're now one-to-one, students can do assessments online. There are over 80,000, much deeper than Scantron, assessments that they actually can pick from. They can actually Facebook. Can you actually show any of those clicks? They can Facebook anyone around the nation that also uses the Common Core standards. I could say Facebook, but it's kind of like Facebook. They can follow any teacher around the nation or around the district. So now, a 3rd grade teacher at one school, which this is actually happening right now, actually talks to a teacher across the district. We didn't expect for it to grow as quickly in Topeka as it is. So really almost many of the schools are using it in Topeka, across Topeka. Middle schools are now using it here, elementary. We want you to be exposed to it as we continue to move forward to standards-based report cards. So we won't just have the report card with no other standards-based teaching before it. And so this also uploads directly to the report card. So no more adding grades in the report card. Is that not good? So now automatically this will upload. So it really decreases the time for our teachers. And so they're really working hard, but we also want to be a little bit more strategic. Can you share either, Ms. Bedoya, pieces that have made the largest difference, and have you seen any gains? And kind of what some of these pages are, since you all have worked with it. And then Dr. McDonald, if there are any other items that you want to speak to in here. Now, how many schools were you at today? I think they've just been reaching out to you. So he drove down today. And 4 tomorrow? Okay. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Bedoya and our Dr. McDonald. If there's anything else left off, and then we'll let our board ask questions. And then we're going to go right on into standards-based report card with Ms. Hopkins, and you may have questions about that as well. Ms. Bedoya, can you share any of the screens that you wanted to go to and how this actually works?
This is the trackers, and this is what we start with. We create one for language arts and one for math, and that's where we add all of our assessments. If you notice in the top, you have all the standards, and then in the top you see like numbers on there, and those are the assessments. So then once they click on an assessment, you click on the assessment. So, where'd you go? Then we have the data. So every standard has an assessment, and then they can create also assessments that have multiple standards, which is very helpful. If you see these colors, then this is how they're grouping, and at least in our building, this is how we're grouping for guided math. So these two students will be together because they need some extra help, and then the ones that have mastery, then they do the enrichment, which in our guided reading or guided math, depending on which chapter we're using. If you click on the assessments, please.
And so this real-time teachers that day, they finish teaching a lesson, or they do an activity, they see it on Mastery Connect, and then they see, oh my gosh, I should reteach that because kids didn't master that standard, as opposed to waiting a week or 2 or 3 weeks.
So it cuts down on the grading part, and it's just automatic. For the assessments, this is the pool of assessments. They can go to search, select a subject, and then create it by all. And then if you filter on those, then you have the exact assessment that you are looking for. So that's pretty neat. What else do you want me to show?
Any other pieces that have been helpful for you? Have you seen any difference in how our teachers responding to this piece? And Dr. Mack, if there's anything we've left off, and then Ms. Kay Hopkins will have you come on up.
The only piece that I want to throw out there and give you an opportunity to see is that under the assessment piece, when they look at an assessment data, not only can they look at the information within the data, they can print the scores, they actually have the ability to do an analysis by question so they can see which students answered which question with what answer, so that helps with grouping of students. So now essentially what would take 2 or 3 days last year, by the time I graded, I analyzed it, I put it together, I pull it together, we did with second graders, 43 of them who've never seen this, in a matter of about 15 or 20 minutes. So the time saving is huge as well.
Just a quick question before we go on to Ms. Hopkins, mainly just for these two. So this, I have to say, I like this. I'm kind of blown away by it, especially that a teacher have this in their hands while they're in front of the class right then and being able to use it real time. When I look at the groupings there with remediation, mastery, students who are at grade level, what was it, and this allows you to group, obviously, so you can differentiate your education a lot smoother without, hiccups and getting students stuck in the wrong groups and somebody having their progress.
And we can also group them by standard. So if we focus on our power standards, there's a link there that you can do power standards, and then we can assess those, and those are the ones that are linked to our state assessments. So then right now, that's the focus.
Okay.
It's going to see where they need help, and then how we
So you just answered one of my questions. I guess the other one that I had, thank you, too. This probably shows my ignorance about this, but what was it like then when I see this to differentiate your instruction in the class with really disparate levels of readiness
Without
for
this? So what was it like before this?
What did you do? How did you do it exactly?
Well, before, we have common assessments, so that means that grade level teams create common assessments together, and then they have to grade together, which then they would rely either on rubrics, or they would have to grade them together. That takes a lot of time, either collaboration, which we have on Fridays, or their planning time. And it would be like by hand that they would have to grade those. So in this assessment where we have 10 questions and then it's automatic, they would have to meet as a team or just grade them independently. And then by the time everybody got to that page to analyzing the data, then it was maybe 2 weeks after.
How often would it be that you had a student maybe stuck in the wrong group and you're targeting the wrong kind of, using the wrong instructional technique or whatever with them, and they have their progress either
Probably,
targeted
this system is more efficient, and you immediately see who and what and where you need to move them, and that was what I was hoping for, because at this time of the school year, you don't want to waste any time trying to figure it out. I mean, we want to know immediately where we need to go, what we need to teach, and if they got it or not after that. So we would look at a week or two of teaching a standard, then give them a formative assessment, then we know who has it, who hasn't, who needs to reteach, who needs to be pulled out, or maybe where the interventionists can support those students if they haven't mastered that standard yet. And so the efficiency is what I really felt was so important and critical, besides the time-saving element, is the efficiency of this system. Before, when we're doing it by hand, or we're scavenging all over trying to find resources to present an assessment or a formative assessment, it just takes a lot of time. And so this is what I was cheering on and hoping my teachers would really be very excited to have this tool as a resource for them. And I believe it's going to give us a big bang for our buck.
Additionally, it's tied into Power School.
That's what I was going to ask last question. How do you share?
So it's tied into Power School, so as students move between teachers within a building or even between buildings across town, the roster automatically updates. It does a nightly sync with it. And as a student transfers out, they would come off the list. If a new student enrolls, they're added to a list. If a student transfers teachers, the data that has been collected will transfer over as well. There's also a way that we can set it up so that special education teachers can set up their group of kids and see the same data the gen ed teacher is seeing, so there's collaboration that way. And then you can set up even other trackers for students who are on the brink of being at the proficient level. So you can have a targeted group of students that you keep an eye on. So there's a lot of variables with it, even to the point with coaches and administrators being able to look at school-wide and grade level data. So this is, again, a fictitious school, but imagine just each one of Topeka schools listed here, and then I want to click, and I can drill down at a click. This is the grade levels for that particular school. I can do a comparison that way, and even click at a grade level, and now I'm at the teacher level within that school. So in a matter of 3 to 5 seconds, I can get from a district level down even one more level down into the student level data if I wanted to.
So as we doing data consults, this is what we did. We pulled up schools from across the district, and we talked about sister school sharing, so we now have that going on. We built in a collaboration piece. Imagine even our gifted students when we say, wow, they've mastered this. Often in schools you teach to the middle or bottom. You remediate and you teach to the middle. We're talking about make sure that you teach at the highest possible level and move everybody up to that level, but you have to know what standards. If you've mastered a standard and you're sitting in a class and I'm teaching that same standard to everyone else, you should have something else that enriches you, perhaps within that same standard, but something that's enriching and beyond where you currently are. Similarly, if you need remediation, so it really has allowed for that level of that very quick piece. The other item that you may have noticed is a camera. So if you create your own assessments, which many of our teachers do, you take a picture of it with the camera, which is unbelievable, and it will upload any assessment that you create. What we are noticing is that teachers are using it for calibration. They'll give an assessment, think kids have mastered it, take an assessment on this, and see that this depth of knowledge is a little bit deeper than what perhaps their assessment was created based on. So Mastery Connect, our principals have embraced all using this K-12 next year, and as we go into Mastery for Standards, standards-based report cards, it'll tie right on in. So the one page I do want to mention, and then we're going to go ahead and see if there are any more questions, and just bring Ms. Kay Hopkins on up. Can you click on the one, there's one sheet, and it's a report where parents can get it, and it gives you a one-sheeter, and it shows the standards kids have or haven't mastered. And I think it's under, without sitting behind the thing, I can't actually. So there is a one-pager that some teachers this semester have actually printed, and it'll give you, actually what your own child has mastered. So at progress report time, they say here are the standards. So and you'll know, okay, they mastered this, fraction, slopes, and so that will align directly to our report cards. So as we prepare to, that's okay, Dr. Mack, but thank you for looking for it. And so with that in mind, are there any other pieces? So I wanted you to hear directly from a school, and any one of the dozens of schools that are now using it could have come, but she happened to be here tonight anyway. So I thought you're here, you might as well come on up. All right, Mrs. Hopkins, can you come on up? Oh, we have a couple of other questions, and let's let them ask that, and then we'll go to report cards, and then open it back up for questions again. Yes, sir, and then yes, ma'am.
It seems to me the math assessment is different than the English assessment and just their ability to work a question. So is it a multiple choice, is a math assessment question a multiple choice question, or how is it?
Not anymore.
Okay.
We are now looking at multi-step word problems that children are expected to complete, and so we need to really bump it up a notch or quite a bit, or the depth of knowledge that we're looking at for math is probably quadruple as far as what we are now needing to prepare our students for. So that's kind of our next step since we've engaged in this process, is looking how that we can deepen the knowledge and look at the depth of knowledge that they need to be successful in completing these more complex word problems.
So the software will capture those multi-step.
Well, we look for, you can go through and select your standard and the type of question that you would like to give to your students. So you can look at depth of knowledge level 1, 2, 3, or 4 question for your students.
So the software comes with the sample questions, or you can write your own?
Yes, and actually they're made by, a lot of the questions are made by teachers all over the United States. Okay. So you have a huge bank of questions to select from. And that's another level that we want our teachers to be very cognizant of, the type of question that you're looking for. We're looking for a question that mirrors what our students are going to see on the Kansas assessment.
Just a few years ago, computation was the mainstay of the math assessment. Could the students compute this answer? Now it is, can they use their knowledge of mathematics to solve this problem? And so the questions themselves have changed to that point. So there are still multiple choice answers, but it's not as simple as 2. Yeah.
Ms. Kirk?
And I think my questions follow along with what Dr. Morris is down there. I guess in my own mind, I was trying to understand, it struck me that it was really important that the formative assessment that we're using as we finish, I will say a unit, that's about, so you're teaching a unit on fractions or whatever, or beginning fractions or whatever, that formative assessment that's developed then has to reflect the expectations of Kansas standards. And so, I mean, when you're looking at a whole bunch of questions out there, narrowing it down to making sure that we're really looking at what are the standards that we're asking for here. That's got to be kind of a tricky process. I mean, it's got to be key, otherwise your whole data that you're getting is going to be off in terms of helping kids.
That's where we're at, and we'll have our teachers sit down with those standards that they're looking for and be very specific. be very specific as to what aligns with our Kansas
Here's the
College and
wonderful-
Career Ready standards.
Here's the wonderful thing, the Kansas College and Career Ready standards are embedded in Mastery Connect. So you can click Kansas Career College Ready or Common Core. Now fortunately, the Kansas Career Standards are aligned with the Common Core. So we have said, if you select Common Core, then you can share with people all over the nation. You don't just share with people in Kansas. And so it actually is aligned with both. So really, the question bank is just deeper than what Scantron has. It's just more questions, more tests. Teachers can make their own tests as they're doing now, upload those. I mean, so it just allows for a little bit more depth and flexibility and just variety. I think it's trying to find the standard. Again, this is a demo site, so those may or may not be embedded in this piece. But thank you for mentioning that. So yes, you can go in, and in fact, initially several teachers were clicking Kansas Common Core standards and then not being able to share necessarily with someone from outside of this area, but then seeing that, okay, the Common Core standards, which are the same, that's what Kansas standards are based on. But that is embedded in Mastery Connect. We use Mastery Connect with Tyler, and that's a much simpler student information system, but we have been able to get Mastery Connect to connect with Power School as well. So the student information piece has been fairly seamless as well, and the few glitches that are there, Dr. McDonald has been here today and tomorrow addressing those if there are any glitches that are there. So this is happening in dozens of schools, likely your child's school, if you have a child in school right now, and we're going to talk about report cards and then open it back up for questions if that's okay. Thank you so much, ladies, for being so willing since you were here. Ms. Hopkins has a teacher voice.
I do.
So Ms. Hopkins is just going to give you a very brief reminder of the report cards that are coming out. I'm going to turn it on over to her, and I think there are some items at your desk that you'd like to mention.
Absolutely. Good evening. My name is Kay Hopkins. I'm consulting teacher for language arts. I believe you do have a packet that has a sample of a kindergarten, first grade, and second grade report card in there. And this is our proposal to link our standards, our curriculum standards that we have been using for several years in our district to a standards-based report card. I can tell you that we have had teachers for several years asking us, can we have a report card that reflects what we're teaching on our curriculum design map? And you may have even heard that as well. I see some of you nodding your head. And so 3 years ago, we started meeting in late May of the 2014-2015 school year. And then 2015-2016 is where we put together this committee, this very powerful committee of teachers that you see on the front page. I'm rather proud of that because it's well represented. We had 2 teachers, classroom teachers at each grade level, as well as administrators and consulting teachers. Consulting teachers, what we did was kind of the legwork in order to organize the meetings. The classroom teachers are the ones who actually worked really hard to put together a standards-based report card. We also did a book study. Gusky and Bailey, if you ever want to research their names, they are big names in the world of standards-based grading. Kenneth O'Connor is another book that we looked at as well. He's another big name in the world of standards-based grading also. So we did this book study. We also solicited report cards from other districts in our state that had already moved to standards-based grading. We wanted to see what they had been doing. I'm sharing all of this with you because I want you to feel assured that we did a lot of legwork and background work in order to come up with what we feel like is a product that we're very, very proud of. On our district website, and unfortunately I didn't get here in time for Mr. Rousseau to pull it up, but if you just go to our website and you go to departments and pull up teaching and learning, you'll see a picture of my beautiful boss, Billy Wallace, and over in the left sidebar, you can pull up standards-based grading. So we already have some information out there for parents to look at. There's a nice video down at the bottom of that you can click. Last year in April, on our district writing scoring day, the afternoon of that day, we had kindergarten through 5th grade teachers all sitting down looking at the standards-based report card in order for them to get used to the idea of it, to see what was on it, and to get feedback from them. Based on their feedback, we then made a few more changes to the standards-based report card. So I have to tell you, I think a lot of hands have been on this. I'm extremely proud of it. I don't know if you know or not, but I'm also a company gal. I started working here when I was 22. I feel like Topeka Public Schools is so exciting at this point. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful feeling of excitement, and all the changes that are going on are for the good of the teachers and ultimately for the good of the students. And so this is the web page. There are all kinds of links. When you click, if you scroll on down, thank you, Mr. Rousseau, for driving. We have tons of information over here that a parent can just click on and find out more about standards-based grading. The performance descriptors are there.
And also a video.
And a video, and it's very short. So if you could indulge us to listen to the video, would that be all right with you?
All right, so it's 1 minute and 30 seconds?
It's
Okay.
very short, so
And then
listen
we'll-
carefully.
I gotta turn my speakers back on. How motivated would you be if you received a bad grade every time you fail as you practice? Think about how frustrated you would feel. What if your early days of learning, or maybe even falling off, counted just as much as the last time you rode your bike successfully? What if you finally learned, but were told you failed anyway because it took too many times and your average was too low? Would that final grade help you understand the skills you needed to be successful? Topeka Public Schools has embraced a standard-based report card driven by strategically designed goals to communicate progress to students and parents based on a performance level scale. Our learning goals guide and develop the implementation and meaningful and varied assessments that inform and inspire students and educators for continuous improvement and growth in a way that transforms learning and teaching. The college and career ready standards are used as a guide for instruction and assessments in monitoring student learning along the way. Each reporting category on the report card correlates to both district and state standards. A standards-based report card helps all of our students enjoy a thriving, productive life in a future they create.
We're going to open it up to questions if there are any for Ms. Hopkins as we close out on standards-based report card. When I first started, they were finishing their committee, they were ready to roll it out, and I said, what did you send out to parents? I said, we didn't do that part. I said, so let's hold up, do that part. And they really developed some amazing kinds of things. And they gave me this stink eye for about a week or two. And then really when I started showing, here's what other districts have out there, kind of for parents, so we really get this information out over time. And so they have just really done an amazing job. Any questions for Ms. Hopkins about standards-based report cards, which you see Master Connect, the standards that we're tracking, and now you see the report cards that will follow that. Any questions from our board members?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm thrilled to see this. We've been talking about this even before.
Yes.
I seem to remember before Dr. Singer was here, even, this came up as a topic. And certainly as a parent, the information this gives us would actually be helpful. Right now, for many of us, we look at the report card and it doesn't tell us a thing about what our student really knows. So just a couple of questions. One would be when I'm imagining a parent at parent-teacher conference looking at the report card and then spotting standards that their student doesn't know, and then having that conversation with the teacher of what is it that I can do to help with this? What resources will you guide them to, or how will the conversation proceed from there?
I would imagine, and I'm going to speak mainly from a language arts perspective, that one of the main things that we can be doing to help our students is to help them read more, practice more, and think more deeply about what they're reading. That's what the whole point of the Common Core is. It's not surface level questions anymore. So we may have to support our parents in understanding. I'm not suggesting that we give everybody a seminar on depth of knowledge level questions, but I do think we need to support our parents in letting them know that just asking what's the setting of the story it's an important question. I'm not saying there's not anything wrong with a depth of knowledge question, but we also need to talk about how did the setting influence the story? How did the setting influence the character? We need to go more deeply when we're thinking about what we're reading.
I'll add to that. That Master Connect we're just looking at, that's what I was getting at. If you click on a standard as a parent and they print off a sheet, it also assigns homework activities, Khan Academy, videos to teach that standard. It's really pretty savvy in that regard. And so that is one tool. The other piece is really using our webpage to say, okay, now that we have a report card, now that we know why we're doing it, then once our report card goes out, we really need to have the links that'll show, and because remember in the strategic plan, it talks about the Parent Empowerment Academy. You know, really having the links to say for these standards, here are things that as a parent you can do. Here are activities, here are various projects that reinforce this particular standard. So that's what you can see coming out. Right now, you see one link with these on here, but ultimately you'll see, again, its own page, but a whole section for parents and a whole section for teachers. So that's what's coming down the pipe as the report card comes out.
Other question is, when will this be extended in middle and high school?
Well, right now, we want to first get it rolled out. I had to almost say, okay, let's make sure we pilot it first in the first 2 grades and tweak it. Keeping in mind, remember we have Power School. That's been a big conversation about Power School versus any other student information system. Other student information systems already have standards-based report cards filled in every language. And so we really want to make sure, let's get the card in, let's make sure we roll that out. And once we know that works smoothly next year, then it rolls up to the next 2 grades. And then from there, the conversation, I would suspect, will continue about what are we doing and how are we looking at grading and assessing. That's just an ongoing conversation. So likely we'll be coming back to you again next year this time, talking about the next 2 grades once we know this works well with the right student information system in place. Yes, sir.
So I like what you said earlier, definitely about this. You really will have parents empowered to be partners.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When will this be rolled out to like DCAC or the teachers at that level, or what vehicle will we use to try to?
I will tell you, we're ready to do it at any point that gets established.
And so 2 things. Now that we're at this point and we're sharing it with you as the board being able to see it, it's already on the webpage. And so these next several months between now and the end of the year, we certainly will be rolling this out. One of the things we also want to do is to make sure that although this was really a concept in process already, prior to me coming on board, my piece has just been the wonderful end of the piece of saying, what do we have for the parents? Let's get Mastery Connect, introducing other complementary pieces. But I will say that now that we have this piece here, it's really good to acknowledge it in our strategic plan. Even though concept may have been already kind of in the works, to say not only are we doing these grades, but here are the next grades, because it holds us to that level of commitment. Once you approve the strategic plan, we would like to then roll out all the things in the plan, which include this. So over these next 3 months, you can anticipate this going broader beyond this space.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't, and I'm not prescribing, I guess, which vehicle we use to engage parents or teachers. I just think DCAC is a good one.
Oh, absolutely.
Engagement model.
My hope is March, April, they'll see the entire strategic plan, and then we'll really focus in on standards and how we're grading differently and why, and what does that look like. Remember, their study topic is college and career, so this just falls right on in. Mr. Mickelson, did you have a question?
Yeah, what I liked about the Master Connect was the immediacy of a response or a result. And a report card just seems, in today's world where, my parents got my report card every 9 weeks, and that's about all they knew.
And I'm sure it was a lovely report card.
I'm glad you somebody. But, so the Master Connect, those parents will have access to that, their child's ability to master that concept immediately, right?
Yes, you will be able to know which standard your child did or didn't do, and also have activities and videos that you can use to help teach that standard.
So does it make this antiquated?
Report cards?
Yeah.
You want me to speak, we're tag teaming here, so you want me to speak to, I will start if you want to add something to that. You want to start?
Please do. I do have something to add as well.
You start.
Okay. It may feel a little bit antiquated right now, but since we still have to have some way to inform parents regarding how their progress is doing, we still have to, and I cannot quote you any statistics, but we do also still have to understand some parents still do not have access to internet. And so in order to be considerate to the range of parents that we work with and to
Right, and so that piece, really it's about making sure we have our information systems aligned, because right now we're using two. You know, we have one for a lot of things we're doing, the Tyler system, and then a different one for the student information system. So once we just kind of figure out what are we, and we might keep it that way, but once we kind of look at what are we doing in that regard, then we can figure out how do we send it electronically.
One of the things that happened previously is teachers would not put in grades so that parents would get on Power School.
There'd be nothing there.
And there'd be nothing there,
So the very
or
last
they would
week.
be so far behind that you really didn't know what was going on.
I got emails once.
Can I
from
get a
Power
principal to
School.
answer that? I love it when principals are in the audience, and then
I
you don't
do
have to
too.
be bored by me, and I can tell you what really happens, and you don't have to say, is she making that up? And so that doesn't happen. Teachers now put grades in, and so we'll call one of our awesome principals from Williams on up.
Because I used to get them, I won't say anything, but I used to get the emails from Power School.
Okay.
It would be like 3:54 a.m. the day before their.
And Ms. Berger is also a member of our committee that helped work on the standards-based report cards. Like you just really have a wealth of knowledge right here.
I do. So, we had our data consult on Monday of this week, Monday from 1 to 2:30 in our conference room. And when we're looking at our data together, we're always looking at attendance together and different pieces of information that are important. One piece we're always looking at is grades. And we have a report that is also syncs every night, so we can see instantly teachers who are more than a week, they've gone more than a week without entering grades, and then teachers who have gone more than 2 weeks without entering grades. So that's a good piece of feedback for me, that if I have someone who is especially habitually not putting in grades, that's obviously a conversation that I would need to have to make sure that information is up to date, so that our parents are looking to that resource, so that they've got, we want them to continue to look at it and not to just think, oh, there's not going to be anything there. So that's a really helpful piece of information.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on that, in the interest of time, I won't call other folks on up, but I will tell you that Tyler, actually that's one of the pieces, one click of a button, you can see who's 2 weeks behind, who's 1 week. Most principals, is it every week they integrate to your building? Most principals now have a requirement that they integrate every week. And we've shown them a system to check that every week. And it's, again, it's 1 click, and you can see that, and then they can let the teacher know it's really worked well for us. So that actually has been remedied to a great degree by Tyler. Ms. Hopkins, we thank you so much for this evening and your presentation. And anyone else on the Standards-Based Report Card Committee that is here this evening to be acknowledged?
Who are they?
All of its members' names are on your packet, but I know she mentioned Ms. Berber, so we want to thank Ms. Berber for giving her time on the committee. Thank you, Ms. Hopkins, for your time this evening as well. Thank you. As we move on to strategic planning, are there any questions left on the standard-based report card as we go to the strategic plan? Now, again, Mrs. Wallace is not here, so Ms. Hopkins, please hang tight. And so she said, oh my, oh my. So, and we're going to just talk about the highlighted areas, see if there are questions. Now, this has been just a really neat process because every 2 weeks, we get a chance to dig deeper, look at benchmark districts, look at research, talk to other folks. Oh, and did we bring that one packet from the student? The one packet?
Yes, I saw it.
So that's one of the students that sent us all their comments. And I just said, oh, put that in front of the board. Is this Topeka High? Mm-hmm. All right, so these were her comments on the little stickies. It's just giving us every week a chance to send that around. Most of them are kudos and what they like. And there were a couple of items of questions that the student had on the various stickies. And it's just been great getting feedback from all levels. With that in mind, we're going to go to normally the instructional pieces up front. And since Mrs. Wallace is out sick, I believe that her areas are highlighted. Now, one of the neat things about standards as we get ready to go down to the areas that are highlighted, and I will pull and pass it as well, and try to help you out here. Since she's not here and she knows what she's gone to, I may not go to the pages as quickly. We might actually have to scroll down. In several areas, she changed things from kindergarten through second to preschool through second. The very first area that she has highlighted, I will tell you one of the things that we did do, we looked at some of our benchmark districts. One of those benchmarks is Charlotte-Mecklenburg. It's a Broad award-winning district. It has over 140 schools in their district. So the diversity is there. And again, that benchmark just helps us see what else do other people do. I love how, Ms. Nicholson, you asked a few questions and people said, well, we've done that. Well, here's some benchmark districts. Look a little deeper. Same with the curriculum. Several things actually were changed after some questions that you sent. Causes us to dig a little deeper. As we were at the one area here, and if you go up a little bit in terms of the goals, I'm not going to open up the page. Under state level assessments, as a reminder, the objective was to, that performance will increase, meet or exceed state standards. As we go down to the various items that were changed, she included the piece of increasing teacher knowledge of assessed standards and using strategies by designing a comprehensive 5-year professional development plan. Instead of giving professional development just based on activities and Kagan strategies, we're now giving it by standard. So let's say this standard, how do you have a Kagan activity in this standard? How do you have, and so that's really another adjustment, really aligning to the standards. And I think some of these are really from last time. Mrs. Kruger, I don't see her. Did we take the highlights from last time off?
Yes.
Okay, so these are the new ones. The other item is ensuring alignment between curriculum. Do you remember the Cross and Jockins report talked about alignment and the ensuring our curriculum is aligned? So it's just ensuring the alignment of the curriculum. She also made sure to add the assessment office on there. The next one is really strengthening opportunities for students through the arts. That wasn't a piece that was throughout, and also through other disciplines for creative thinking. And she included the fine arts person in that area. So making sure we're embedding the arts in these various areas. Another item is updating the current technology standards, and we really want to align that with the national standards. Again, this is where benchmarking districts were really helpful for us. So the new International Society for Technology, the ISTE standards for students, we want to make sure that our technology standards are aligned with that. The other item that she also added in was regarding making sure that equity verbiage is throughout, so meeting the individual needs of all students. And then you will see that equity language throughout, based on unique needs of students, allowing all schools to identify needed growth. And so really putting either all students or all schools, making sure instead of saying a particular place, because if it's a good practice, it's something we want to do throughout. The next several items that she has listed, and I'll go up to the goal we're at now, because I think we transitioned to another goal. I'm sorry, we're still on the same goal. The next several items that she's listed, as including project-based learning, and you've heard Ms. Caspers talk a lot about that with TCAL. So project-based learning and science and technology standards, and she has a teaching and learning staff listed for that, as well as the German principles. We have our STEAM school, but you notice we really don't have a whole lot in there about the STEAM concept. So that project-based learning piece is embedded in here. One of the teachers at the STEAM school is also taking on that piece of really leading some of the STEAM science initiatives as just an informational note. The next area is early literacy. And I believe pre-K through 2 was one of the items, and I believe maybe Ms. Kirk or someone may have mentioned that, making sure it didn't just say kindergarten through. So that's one of them. That's really the main item that's listed throughout there that's highlighted. The next area is subgroup achievement. And under subgroup achievement, and if we can kind of go up a little bit, and this is about tiered intervention, the subgroup achievement area was to, that will increase the percentage of special education students demonstrating college and career readiness standards. And the item that was added, it says intervention strategies used to pull out, push in, but also a walk to intervention. And our special education staff and ELL staff are here. And in the interest of time, I thought I'd go ahead and mention that. But if it's something you want to add, please let me know. As we continue on with subgroup achievement, we're going to go straight on down. We're getting fewer and fewer highlights. This is good, but we still have, there are a number when we get closer to the bottom. Under the area of subgroup achievement, if it's okay with our ELL staff, I'm just going to continue, and if there are questions, I'll turn it over to you. Expanding ELL services to Topeka West and Jardine. You might remember that. The key indicator, however, has been adjusted. Previously, it listed some specific individual numbers. Now it says increased number of ELL sites impacting approximately 150 students at Jardine and 100 plus students at Topeka West School annually. As opposed to saying 30 students or 50 students, it has that kind of broad number. Additionally, under the area of professional development, we just added teaching and learning staff. I saw the note from Ms. Curry said, hey, teaching and learning staff was there, where'd they go? So just making sure that that edit was created. Additionally, establishing staffing needs for Jardine and Topeka West. So we want to make sure that that school was there. We also mentioned making sure that we did enrollment projections and ensure the demographics was looked at every year. The next two items, establishing staffing for Jardine and Topeka West High School. And so the staffing piece really wasn't mentioned there, so we wanted to be sure to add that, as well as purchasing instructional materials. And then we're going to go down from there. Still under subgroup achievement. And it's about, again, ELL, but we're going to go straight down. It's really just about visiting our benchmark school, partnering with schools in terms of visiting benchmark schools and the various people. You already know that Ms. Van Dyke and Ms. Lucero went there. They will be reporting to you at the next board meeting. So they went and visited the benchmark school. Their name was not listed there. It is now listed there. I have said a lot about ELL and achievement. Are you all okay with me continuing on? All right, as we move on from there, just keep scrolling on down. Under subgroup achievement, again, and we'll continue to go on down, we mentioned one of the principals from Whitson, and we also mentioned Billy Wallace, and again, Ms. Van Dyke and Ms. Lucero. Those are just names we've added who are also participating in those areas. Again, areas that just have names that didn't change anything else, we're just going to keep scrolling down from there. This is an interesting piece. On the area of composite scores in ACT, apparently the compass test in Kansas as of the last 3 weeks is no longer a test that Kansas supports. So the test to get into community college is now called the AccuPlacer. That has happened since we started this process. So this is now updated to now say the AccuPlacer, and the compass test is now removed. Okay, so here are some new items, and thank you very much, board members, for some of your comments. One of the comments was about offering teachers the practice test for ACT. Fantastic idea. Some take it, some don't, but that's really something that we're going to embed into our system. Offering practice ACT exams to teachers to reflect on practices and to assist with realignment of curriculum. And so before our students and at the beginning of the year, we'll have those teachers take the ACT test as part of their professional development activities. Then at the beginning of the year, they'll write kind of what the curriculum pieces are. We've already sent them to ACT training so we can embed ACT standards into what we teach naturally. You really shouldn't have to do a ton of prep. It should automatically be what you have built in. And then now we're going to continue past finance. One of the items we have talked about with finance, which might end up being in here if finance determines to add it in, is having an online over the next 5 years, a paperless online system, financial system, but we'll look and carefully put that in if that is an area that they want to add on the very final meeting. This is student well-being, so you have a number of items that have been added. Now, keeping in mind, it's about providing a continuum of services. One of them is to collaborate with KU to implement alternative program options to improve in-school services for general education students. Here's what I have learned and what we have learned. You know, we have Cap City, which is for special education students. We have Hope Street for students who need a small school environment. We do not have a place that if you have a discipline issue, a mental health temporary issue that perhaps does not qualify for special services, if you are someone who just was released from the JDC and you have some violent tendencies, we don't have a place for those students. So those students right now are, suspended at times, or they're kept in school with the principal, maybe in their office or in some type of in-school way. We believe we should create a space for general education students who maybe don't qualify for special ed. That's an alternative option. Really careful not to say school, because options can be very many different things with the right partners. Options can be in school, out of school, it can be another building, but we really want to explore that. Yes, sir.
Our former next door neighbor is a clinical social worker who remembers fondly the time she spent at Topeka High School mentoring 3 graduate students from KU who were clinical social worker graduate students, second-year students with 1 master's degrees. And my former neighbor, this was back in the early 90s when her child was at Topeka High. And she would spend 15 hours a week volunteering there. It was a STARS program, they called it. And she spent the highlights of her career doing this kind of work.
And so as we use, and that's actually one of the bullets in here, our practicum students, our partners, as such as that, so that's one addition in terms of, and then KU, because they're helping us with the CI3T. So they're helping us already, so we're going to continue to use that same partner in that regard. We're going to go straight down from there. Still under student well-being. Under student well-being, the next item. And again, we still are talking about the percentage of students who report that Topeka Public Schools is meeting their individual needs, sense of belonging, and a caring environment is really kind of what this objective is as we go straight down. The item is really providing, again, opportunities for students to use the arts to reduce stress. We actually have several grants, innovation art grants, but often they're used for activities we want it to be embedded in our trauma work. And so really to reduce stress and encouraging self-expression, establishing a safe environment. We're going to go down from there. Still with student and well-being, it just talks about individual people, so we're going to skip right on over that because it's just about people. I'm sorry, I didn't skip over one item. And this is another piece, implementing wraparound services for families through a full-time homeless and TCOP coordinator. We have currently a coordinator of counseling, our awesome person, Ms. Gross-Deer, who was here acknowledging her counselors. And I told her, I said, you stay. So they asked a hard question, here you go. All right, so Ms. Gross-Deer right now, if I miss a job duty, let me know. Right now, Ms. Gross-Deer oversees high school counselors, elementary counselors, middle school counselors. She also oversees a portion of homelessness rescue mission. She also does all of your special ed referrals as it relates to GI. Am I saying that right? I'm talking a little too fast. 504s and GIs. And then, did I leave something out? Transitional enrollment and transportation. That is her job. It is impossible to do all those things well. And then the college counseling, to some degree, the transportation, something falls off. So what she really tries to pay attention to a lot of times is the compliance pieces, because you kind of have to. And so that has been a big stretch. And then the homeless piece falls off and other items. So we really are saying we want some intentionality with making sure to free up a person to really, again, just reorganize staff, reorganize the structure to be freed up to really work with homelessness and also TCAL. Okay? That's under student well-being. It says grant, because we do have a homeless grant. In the past, we've had a 21st century grant, which we're writing again. So those were maybe where some of those funds also go. Additionally, the piece of partnering with agencies to assist in reducing homeless families in Topeka Public Schools. We believe that it's part of our duty to help in that effort. Remember, we have a family center, so it's really about sharing things about employability with them and then wrapping services around. It was a wonderful meeting today that I had with social workers, because one of the items that's embedded in this plan is to have a community cupboard that has, beds and clothes and all the things a family might need. If they have a fire, if they're homeless, if they're getting their apartment for the first time, that's also a new strategy that's embedded in here. Moving from there, implementing a Topeka community cupboard that collects donated household and clothing goods centrally and provides services to families in crisis. So it's really about, again, wrapping those services around. And I believe we are down to almost our final edits in this area. is at the very end. I think there's something on college and career readiness. And communication, as we talk about communication, implementing a corporate partnership and school adoption process. We are so excited. Mr. Robbins and I met with Advisors Excel this week, and we will be sharing information with you at a later time in much greater depth. We gave them a proposal on October the 10th for this very idea, just to kind of springboard. They met with us this week and agreed to adopt 3 of the schools with transportation, paying for dues for Washburn Tech, uniform, you name it, they pretty much are willing. But they asked us to ask for other partners, corporate sponsors, to take 3 more schools on. So those services are already in place. We're excited about that piece, but have that intentionality. The other piece is reorganizing central office staff to develop and implement expanded business partnerships for sponsorships. We're not asking you to hire another person, but we are asking for right now, we're going to be reorganizing some duties under some of the current duties that we have and some of the future duties. But corporate sponsorship, volunteerism, business partnerships, that's a piece that Ms. Casper does a lot of making sure we have a person that handles a lot of those pieces as well within the district. The next item, all the way down, college and career readiness. A lot of the words in the middle where we've added names adds the name principal, because we believe the principals should have a big stake in a lot of these pieces. Under communications, it talks about improving. Previously, the comment said, we will, the comment was a little bit vague, so we added, we will improve annually. We also added the key indicator will be online feedback as well. You all know we talked about greatteachers.org and all these other online systems about are we a good culture, just making sure to add that piece down. The other item in terms of the strategy, utilizing websites that comment on the school district climate and making sure we're monitoring that piece. In terms of the action step, we included just the website piece that we kind of have not listed in here previously. As we go all the way down, we're again under communication. We added in creating systems for ongoing feedback from principals on services and supports for schools. So what that looks like, we'll continue to kind of develop some of that. Lead principals is one way of kind of having that piece in place, but having a system of ongoing feedback with intentionality listed in here. And now that we are down to almost the bottom, the next one is implementing an annual central office survey, measuring the efficient delivery of services and positive customer service. The difference here is it actually adds a number with 90% satisfaction. That's what we really expect. You always have 10% of the people that just sometimes take up 90% of the time, but we want to make sure that 90% of the people are pleased with what we provide in terms of customer service. We're going to go all the way down. Now, you can imagine, if we had approved this weeks ago, these are things that we may not have thought as deeply about. And so I think in the next 2 weeks, again, there are going to be a few more revisions because we're still saying dig deeper, and until we get to really the best plan possible with as many groups and student groups. This is college and career. The comment up above is about college graduation and the graduation rate down below. The first one is expanding the JAG program. The JAG program, Jobs for American Graduates, we have it in Topeka West and High with only serving Ms. Casper's. It's just 11th and 12th right now. Correct. They have agreed to help us, and this will help us with staffing as well, because they will pay for the 2 positions, which will allow us to do some reorganization. They're going to pay for 2 positions, and they will allow us to do 9th through 10th. So 9th through 12th will be able to have the JAG program at Topeka West, at Topeka High. Already Highland Park has it, and really it's just listing the intentionality of maintaining that. But because of those 2 positions, that also frees up 2 positions. The next item, as well, is having the college and career advocate, which you've already met. Dr. Duncan was the director of admissions at Washburn University. She has her PhD in counseling, and she is left there to make sure that the college piece is in place before they get to her at Washburn. And so adding that college and career advocate. But adding that piece, just having that seamlessly incorporated. Some of these things we've started to act on some of these items just initially, just because of timing. The other item is implement lead secondary principles for next year and focus on improving college and career readiness attainment and graduation rates. So on the secondary end, having 2 lead folks, making sure that they are, again, giving that constant feedback about graduation rates. As we go all the way down, I think that is the actual end. We also added K-12. We believe college and careers. Careers should be talked about in kindergarten. Okay, we should be talking about it in high school. So college and career, K-12 is also listed in here. And on the very last pieces, the graduation piece, and again, if any team member wants to jump in, feel free. Implementing a graduate follow-up procedure right now. Kids graduate and they go on and go forth and do good. We believe we should be tracking our graduates. So we right now have a system in place and we're continuing to work to implement a system, but we are saying we want to track our graduating seniors and ensure that they not only get through high school, but through college and into a career. Implementing, again, a lead secondary and elementary counselor. So we really have a counselor leading our counselors, focusing just on counseling, without the other 5 or 6 things that are on a person's plate. So really having that intentionality and making sure that we have one person overseeing high school and secondary and middle school, and then one person working with elementary. That is for next year in terms of the lead counselor piece. Expanding the AVID philosophy, K-12, by implementing a systematic college and career prep academy serving students in the summer and throughout. KSDE showed us summer career academies, and this is Casper's. And I believe Dr. Hester went and visited and looked at that presentation. They're hoping to visit some of those schools, but we don't offer that summer program. We don't offer a lot of summer programming. We think we should. So over in the 5-year plan, we'd like to see college and career academies, summer and throughout, beyond the summer being in place. And then the last item is increasing the academic college and career counseling support to be aligned with the national standards and goals. So nationally, in terms of how many counselors you should have, this person here, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about 1 to 250. For every 1 counselor, it's 250 students. If you look at the national counseling standards on their website, and we want to get towards that, we want to move towards that goal over the course of 5 years of having enough counselors to really support our kids aligned in the system that we've just listed out. I believe that is the actual last item. I know I said that before. Are there any questions about specific areas or pages? Ms. Kirk?
I'm going to put my button.
No. Looking for your button?
I'm looking for my button. Where's my button? It just struck me, and this is because we're going through this really fast. I can't have my hand on the page, but when we're talking about increasing business partnerships, getting them to adopt a building or adopt a classroom, one of the things we talked about early on was trying to do that, particularly with the pre-K program at Shaner that we're going to be starting, right? And because when we're looking at dollars, we're all looking at the crunches of dollars and the importance of making sure that we have some kind of business, I think, community support for that. And we were talking to the foundation about some of that, and it all kind of got lost in all the things we were doing. But I mean, I think that that's a partner that we don't see here reflected very often in how they can be real helpful in that. There had been someone who was quite interested in this whole pre-K emphasis we have, trying to get to universal pre-K here in this district, who have been willing to take a look at identifying serious, significant partners who could be of some real help in helping setting up some of those classrooms. So as I said, I think that's kind of gone by the wayside because so many other things have happened in the interim. But the concept that they could be really helpful in trying to help to put together a plan to do some of this, partnering with the foundation to talk about what can we do together to meet some of these needs.
And I heard somebody just take notes. I don't know anyone on the team that can take notes, so that way then I'll know to follow up on that particular.
But it struck me when we were talking about all these things with the communication department doing that, and then I think we have the foundation there who I think is in a role to be really helpful for some of that. And setting up a system by which they can donate over a period of time. I mean, we have a whole bunch of ways of doing that. So.
Or creating an endowment or anything.
Right, I mean, you name it, we can do all those different kinds of things, but there are ways of trying to get to that also. So it just came to me as we were looking through this. And there may be other places that they could help us
it just struck me there tonight that that was a really important place.
I'll follow up on that item, so it's so noted.
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody else have a question?
Just a quick question, confirm one of the things. I think I got this question answered in your statement earlier, but just to make sure. So when we say in the teaching and learning goal area that we would be expanding the ABBA philosophy, that we still are keeping all of our current ABBA offerings. We want to learn some of the lessons that we have already learned with the ABBA program and try to do those broader.
Right, we want to expand it. So like right now, it's moved to Quincy in elementary school, but it's really, I say the philosophy, so it's not as though we're saying everybody has to buy the program.
Correct.
But we want something sustainable in terms of, the system and making sure that systematically we say that college and career is something K-12 that we're focusing on and embedding a lot of the tenets that really are the foundation of everything.
Which is perfect. That's what it sounded like to me. I wanted to make sure I fully understood that. I love that idea. I always think that programs like ABBA, and I give a lot of credit definitely to Dr. McCarthy for kind of leading the charge when we first introduced ABBA, and to Ms. Austin, definitely as being the first school. I remember being there when they first signed all their ABBA contracts. And parents are like, what is this? But you really build your institutional capacity with those kinds of programs, and it empowers teachers in buildings where they don't even have that. They learn all these lessons and do good things. So thank you for actually putting that in plan.
If there are no other questions, thank you so much. And we will be bringing it back to you as a final version at the very next meeting. And so we also encourage you to give us your continued thoughts between now and then.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. You have had quite a night. I think we have your superintendent's notes. Okay. So really, I guess announcements at this point, board members, are just the schedule that you have in front of you. We'll definitely cut Dr. Anderson a break because she had to earn her money tonight. As the expression goes. Our next item on the agenda is board member comments. Are there, and I think what I'll do is I'll start down